look at you and it's easy to see. You are that someone I've been trying to.
Hello and welcome back to Friday Reads, where we help you find your next read. I'm Jill.
And I'm Julie. And we are sitting in the library in front of our new books display this week because Jill and I were talking and we realized there were a lot of new books that landed on our collection in March, April, and May. So we're going to feature some of those books today. So, Jill, what's your first pick?
My first pick is Life and Other Love Songs by Anissa Gray. This was published in April 2023. A father's son disappeared and exposes private fears, dreams, longings, and joys of a Black American family in the late decades of the 20th century. In this page-turning intimate new novel from the author of The Care and Feeding of Ravenously Hungry Girls, which is one of the best titles. It's a warm and bright October afternoon, and Osro Armstead walks out into the brilliant sunshine in his 37th birthday. At home, his wife Deborah and daughter Trinity prepare a surprise celebration. Down in the street, his brother waves as Oz heads back to his office after having lunch together. But he won't make it to the party or even to his briefcase back at his desk. He's about to disappear. In the days, months, and years that follow, Deborah and Trinity look backward and forward as they piece together the life of a man they love, but whom they came to realize might never have truly known. In a gripping narrative that moves from Great Migration 1970s Detroit to 1990s New York, we follow the hopes, triumphs, losses, and secrets that build up and tear apart an American family.
My first pick is also from March of this year, and this is A Likely Story by Leigh McMullen Abramson. Growing up in the 90s in New York City as the only child of famous parents was both a blessing and a curse for Isabel Manning. Her beautiful society hostess mother Claire and New York Times best-selling author father Ward were the city's intellectual it couple. Ward's glamorous obligations often took him away from Isabel, but Claire made sure her childhood was always filled with magic and love. Now an adult, all Isabel wants is to be a successful writer like her father. But after many false starts and the unexpected death of her mom, she faces her upcoming 35th birthday alone and on the verge of a breakdown. Her anxiety only skyrockets when she uncovers some shocking truths about her parents and begins wondering if everything she knew about her family was all based on an elaborate lie. Wry, wise, and propulsive, this book is punctuated with fragments of a compulsively readable book within a book about a woman determined to steal back the spotlight from a man who has cheated his way to the top. The characters seem eerily familiar, but is the plot based on fact? And more importantly, who is the author? So, A Likely Story. Sounded kind of intriguing to me.
My next one is another great title here. Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jesse Q. Centano. This was published in March, again, of 2023. Put the kettle on. There's a mystery brewing. Tea shop owner, matchmaker, detective. 60-year-old self-proclaimed tea expert Vera Wong enjoys nothing more than sipping a good cup of oolong and doing some healthy detective work on the internet, otherwise known as checking up on her son to see if he's dating anyone yet. But when Vera wakes up one morning to find a dead man in the middle of her tea shop, it's going to take more than a strong long jing to fix things. Knowing she can do a better job than the police possibly could, because nobody sniffs out a wrongdoing quite like a suspicious Chinese mother with time on her hands, Vera decides it's down to her to catch the killer. Nobody spills the tea like this amateur sleuth. So if you're in for a good mystery this summer, this is a good one.
All right, my next pick comes from May of this year, and this is The Affairs of Ashmore Castle by Cynthia Harrod Eagles. This takes place in England, 1903. Giles, the new Earl of Stanton, is struggling to bring his family's estate back to order after the death of his father, and he has little time to spare for his young pregnant wife, Kitty. She lives in fear of her mother-in-law, who won't give up the reins of the household. Will she ever truly be mistress of Ashmore Castle? Perhaps if her coming child is a boy, that will change the balance of power. Meanwhile, the Earl's younger sisters are having their first taste of romance, but not necessarily with the right people. Richard is pursuing his forbidden relationship with Molly, while Nina makes a lively new friend who leads her straight into trouble and pushes her relationship with her husband to the limit. And below stairs, ambition, jealousy, and revenge stalk the corridors, while a tragic suicide, a tender romance, and finally a mysterious disappearance challenge the castle's residents, both high and low. The second novel in the Ashmore Castle historical family drama series is filled with heartbreak, romance, and intriguing secrets waiting to be uncovered. It's a perfect read for fans of Downton Abbey, Bridgerton, and those rich period dramas. So check out this book, The Affairs of Ashmore Castle.
Our next one is still on the murder theme. Mastering the Art of French Murder. This is the first in a series of An American in Paris by Colleen Cambridge. It's a new mystery set in post-World War II Paris and stars Julia Child's fictional best friend, confidant, and fellow American. As Paris rediscovers its joie de vivre, Tabitha Knight, recently arrived in Detroit for an extended stay with her French grandfather, is on her own journey of discovery. Paris isn't just a city of light, it's a city of history, romance, stunning architecture, and food. Thanks to her neighbor and friend Julia Child, another expat who's fallen head over heels for Paris, Tabitha is learning how to cook for her grandpère and Uncle Rolf. Between tutoring Americans in French, visiting the market, and eagerly sampling the results of Julia's studies at Le Cordon Bleu Cooking School, Tabitha's sojourn is proving thoroughly delightful. That is until the cold December day they return to Julia's building and learn that a body has been found in the cellar. Tabitha recognized the victim as a woman she'd met only the night before at a party given by Julia's sister Dort. The murder weapon found nearly is recognizable too. It's a knife from Julia's kitchen. Tabitha is eager to help the investigation, but is shocked when Inspector Marville discovers that a note in Tabitha's handwriting was found in the dead woman's pocket. Is this murder a case of international intrigue or something far more personal? From the shadows of the Tour Eiffel at midnight to the tiny third-floor child kitchen to the grungy streets of Montmartre, Tabitha navigates through the city hoping to find the real killer before she or one of her friends ends up in prison or worse. So you get to go through Paris in this
Sounds
one.
like a fun pick.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with international murder also. My third pick is Before We Were Innocent by Ella Berman. A summer in Greece for three best friends ends in the unthinkable when only two return home. 10 years ago, after a sun-soaked summer spent in Greece, best friends Bess and Joni were cleared of having any involvement in their friend Evangeline's death. But that didn't stop the media from ripping apart their teenage lives. While the girls were never convicted, Joni, ever the opportunist, capitalized on her newfound infamy and became a motivational speaker. Bess, on the other hand, resolved to make her life as small and controlled as possible so she wouldn't risk losing everything all over again. And that almost worked. Except now Joni is tangled up in a crime eerily similar to that one fateful night in Greece. And when she asks Bess to come back to L.A. to support her, Bess has a decision to make. Is it finally time to face up to what happened that night, exposing herself as the young woman she once was and maybe still is? And what happens if she doesn't like what she finds? So, check out Before We Were Innocent by Ella Berman.
So this one's for you thriller lovers out there. The Only Survivor by Megan Miranda. A decade ago, two vans filled with high school seniors on a school service trip crashed into a Tennessee ravine, a tragedy that claimed the lives of multiple classmates and teachers. The 9 students who managed to escape the river that night were irrevocably changed. A year later, after one of the survivors dies by suicide on the anniversary of the crash, the rest of them make a pact to come together each year to commemorate that terrible night, to keep one another safe, to hold one another accountable, or both. Their annual meeting place, a house in the Outer Banks, has long been a refuge, but by the 10th anniversary, Cassidy Bent has worked to distance herself from the tragedy and from the other survivors. She's changed her mobile number, she's blocked the others' email addresses. This year, she is determined to finally break ties once and for all. But on the day of the reunion, she receives a text with an obituary attached. Another survivor is gone, and now there are 7, and Cassidy finds herself hurling back to the group, wild with grief and suspicion. Almost immediately, something feels off this year. Cassidy is the first to notice when Amaya, annual organizer, slips away, overwhelmed. This couldn't raise alarm except for the impending storm. Suddenly, they're facing the threat of closed roads and surging waters again. And Amaya stops responding to her phone. After what they've been through, she couldn't willfully make them worry, would she? And as they promised long ago, each survivor will do whatever he or she can do to save one another. So, yeah.
I've read a couple of her books. My fourth pick is for those of you that are reading the Dangerous Damsels series. This is the 3rd book in the series. This is The Secret Service of Tea and Treason by India Holton. 2 rival spies must brave pirates, witches, and fake matrimony to save the queen. Known as Agent A, Alice is the top operative within the Agency of Undercover Note Takers, a secret government intelligence group that is fortunately better at espionage than at naming itself. From managing deceptive witches to bored aristocratic ladies, nothing is beyond Alice's capabilities. She has a steely composure and a plan always up her sleeve, alongside a dagger and an embroidered handkerchief. So when rumors of an assassination plot begin to circulate, she's immediately assigned to the case. But she's not working alone. Daniel Bixby, otherwise known as Agent B, and Alice's greatest rival, is given the most challenging undercover assignment of his life, pretending to be Alice's husband. Together they will assume the identity of a married couple, infiltrate a pirate house party, and foil their unpatriotic plans. Determined to remain professional always, Alice and Daniel must ignore the growing attraction between them, especially since acting on it might prove more dangerous than their target. So, like I said, if you're fans of the Dangerous Damsel series, check out the third book, The Secret Service of Tea and Treason.
That one reminds me of Bridgerton, too.
Yeah.
This one I got off our Lucky Day bookshelf, so you might get lucky and find it, too. Pineapple Street by Jenny Jackson. Darlie, the eldest daughter in a well-connected old money Stockton family, followed her heart, trading her job and her inheritance for motherhood, but giving up far too much in the process. Sasha, a middle-class New England girl, has married into the Brooklyn Heights family and finds herself cast as the arrivist outsider. And Georgiana, the baby of the family, has fallen in love with someone she can't have and must decide what kind of person she wants to be. Shot through with indulgent pleasures of life among New York's one-percenters, Pineapple Street is an addictive, escapist novel that sparkles with wit, full of recognizable, lovable, and followable characters. It's about the peculiar unknowability of someone else's family, the miles between the haves and have-nots, and the insanity of first love, all wrapped up in a deliciously funny, sharply observed debut of family, love, and class. So, debut novel, one of my favorites. I love debuts.
My last pick also comes off of our Lucky Day collection, and this is Community Board by Tara Conklin. She's the New York Times best-selling author of The Last Romantics. You might be familiar with that book. Where does one go, you might ask, when the world falls apart? When the immutable facts of your life, the mundane, the trivial, the take-for-granted minutiae that once filled every second of every day suddenly disappear? Where does one go in such dire and unexpected circumstances? Well, she went home, of course. Murbridge Community Message Board. Free! 500 cans of corn. Accidentally ordered them online. I really hate corn. Happy to help load. Reminder, monthly select board meeting this Friday. Agenda item: 1. Sludge removal. 2. Upkeep of the chime tower. 3. Ice rink monitor thank you gift. Questions? Contact Hildegard. So, this is quite the community she went home to. Darcy Clipper, prodigal daughter, nearly 30, has returned home to Murbridge, Massachusetts, after her life takes an unwelcome left turn. Murbridge, Darcy is convinced, will welcome her home and provide a safe space in which she can nurse her wounds and harbor grudges, both those that are real and those that are imagined. But Murbridge, like so much else Darcy thought to be fixed and immutable, has changed, and while Darcy's first instinct might be to hole herself up in her childhood bedroom, subsisting on Chef Boyardee and canned chickpeas, it's human nature to do two things: seek out meaningful human connections and respond to anonymous internet postings. As Murbridge begins to take shape around Darcy, both online and in person, Darcy will consider the most fundamental of American questions. What can she ask of her community, and what does she owe it in return? So this sounded kind of like a fun book.
It does sound fun.
Community Board off our Lucky Day collection by Tara Conklin.
Well, we hope we helped you find something new to read here in our new book collection.
Yeah, we've got a lot of new books. Next week we'll be featuring some of the nonfiction books from this spring. Thanks for watching our videos. You know you can find us on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel. Jill puts a link from the Kimberly Public Library website. So until next time, thanks for watching. Bye.